Thank you, Jamie, so much for that wonderful introduction. And it is a beautiful segue to my first question, which is, Susan, you have a fascinating life story, as Jamie alluded to a bit there. Can you please tell us how the wee lass from Belfast, Ireland, made it to Denver, Colorado, and happened to discover oil in Belize on the way?
On the way. Yes, I will. And by the way, I am so delighted and honoured to be invited by the ladies of Denver in the energy industry. I love that. To get the interview today.
Well, thank you.
I was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and brought up there. And of course there was a bit of turmoil. And I could never feel, as most people didn't feel, any link to it, because it was bigotry. It was Catholic versus Protestant. And I fell in love with, I think it was the natural environment. The trees, the ocean, the sea, the rocks. And I went to Trinity to study natural science. Trinity was in Dublin, and loved it and specialised in geology. And then I was hired by an American company. But here's an interesting thing. When I was preparing to come to America, I thought, I need to learn a bit about America. You know, what makes it tick? And I found this word, which was not available in Ireland at the time, entrepreneur. And that fascinated me, and I thought, I need to learn about that and be one as soon as I can, as soon as I get there. And sure enough, within 3 years of traveling to the United States with the oil company that hired me, I had set up S. Morrice and Associates, because I thought all Americans did it. That was my mindset coming to the United States. You were the land of opportunity, the pioneer spirit, the American dream. And so I did it.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal. And how did that lead you to Belize?
Very soon after I had set up S. Morris and Associates, I was invited by a British gentleman, and he spoke with a very proper English accent. And he said, "Hello, Susan, is there any oil down here?" And I said, "Well, Ian, where are you?" And he said, "Well, I'm in British Honduras, but I think they've just changed their name to Belize. They'd just gone independent." So it was 1982, early days. And I went up to the fabulous Library and Research Centre here, the Federal Centre in Denver, and found, thanks to a librarian, a real human one, not a computer one, an open file report studying the whole of what we would have called the Mexican or the Greater Mexican Basin. And I thought, yes, there's lots of dry holes here, but there's oil in Guatemala, there's oil in Mexico, and there's oil in Cuba, and I adored plate tectonics. So I reconstructed the plates. Cuba was stuck to Belize, and I realized Belize had to have been part of a major migration pathway, but nobody else seemed to think it. And so I went to Belize, I met Sir Ian Rankin, and this is a critical point. Not only did I feel there was oil, but I fell totally in love with the people. And that brought out a purpose, a motivation, an ignition of that spirit within myself to make a difference with and for Belizeans. That was really the beginning.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, I know that the last time we spoke, you touched on a lot of what Jamie was talking about with the energy. So one of your famous quotes is, "We're all in the energy business."
Yes.
Tell our viewers what you mean by that.
Well, I think the very energy that Jamie introduced me with, that we're talking and engaging here about the energy of passion, the energy of motivation, the energy that we're born with. And that's the unifying factor. You might say the common denominator, not just in all the energies, renewable versus fossil, etc., but in all of us. We're born with this spark, this energy. Now, as Jamie said, we both studied the EDUCO educational model, and that helps you understand how your mind works, the conscious and the unconscious, and how unconsciously we cover over the essence, the light, that energy, and it is dimmed down, sometimes depressed so much it leads to depression.
Right.
But it is the key to innovation and creativity. And so to really forge your path and be on your path in harmony with the environment and the peoples around, it is a critical understanding, not just as a geologist understanding the earth, but as a human spirit understanding our mind, how we work for our best performance.
Outstanding. And that's a perfect segue into the next question. Another thing that Jamie touched on was ESG. And I know that it's a huge topic here in the US, environmental social governance. We talked a little bit the other day about how it looks a lot different in Belize. Can you explain the differences for us?
It does remind me of what Jamie said. She said, Susan, you've been doing ESG for 20 years. And she's right. Now it is, it's great, it's catching on and becoming, for instance, an investment necessity. Wall Street is saying to companies that they're recommending, you must have the ESG component. Environmental, social, governance. Your company needs to be built on that, not get in, get the resource and get out. So I'm delighted that wave is very much upon us. However, Jamie was right. Belize Natural Energy was set up from, just as I said, the love of the people. We are 99% Belizean. It's all about the empowerment of the people in harmony with the environment, with the nature, the jungle, the reef, everything. Belize is the jewel of the Caribbean. And indeed, we were honoured to be awarded the Get Energy Award, Global Award. And to explain it just quite briefly, we were competing against 50 other countries, and big ones. I mean, United States, Canada, the UK, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia. We were all competing for this specific category in the sustainability of making a difference locally. And the model, the Aduco model that gave birth to Belize Natural Energy, started within, by the way.
Right.
And then all our training programs enable not just the people in B&E to go and attend the 10-day seminar, but actually people and leaders and actually young people, teenagers, to go to that same educational seminar and, let's just say, uncover their own capacity. I'm thinking of one actually very famous example, Elsia Pop. Elsia Pop, a Mayan, local Mayan girl. And she was taken under the wing by some of the B&E people who had studied the Aduco model and would talk to her in a language of encouragement. And she attended the seminar and then applied what she knew to basically making jewellery, and fantastic jewellery in a Mayan way. Then she also taught her other Mayan girlfriends, young teenagers, how to also be entrepreneurs. And then she was recognised by the Princess Diana Legacy Award and the Queen of England herself.
Wow.
And there are fantastic pictures of her with the two princes on either side being awarded this very special award. So it's, yes, the Get Energy Award was huge. We won that, beating 50 other countries for making the most empowering, sustainable difference. It's not just, let's just say, another charity. It's the empowerment of the local people, which allows a whole country to expand in an upward trajectory. And indeed, it's why I've just been invited recently to talk about that same model throughout the Caribbean. And to share the model is to see the empowerment of mankind, humanity.
Right. Well, and haven't you also been approached by some women in Nigeria?
That's right. You've been doing your homework.
That's right.
I was speaking at the OTC in Houston, Offshore Technology Conference, and these three lady engineers came up to me, and they were running because it was sort of half time, and I just come down from the podium, and they said, "We want to take you to Nigeria," almost like today. And I had very little time, and I said, "Look, you've heard what we did in Belize. Go back to Nigeria and do it." A year later, I heard from them, and they have the most formidable group of women in energy. In fact, I want to link our groups across the Atlantic because they are shaking and moving. They've just got 3 key positions in the national oil company in Nigeria. They are for gas, they are for entrepreneurism, they are for a country that is not just famous for the oil curse, but becomes famous for doing it right, and the women are leading it. And it was thanks to that ignition that they got from that talk.
Yeah.
And I've got to thank God for the lot, because I didn't even know they were in the audience. It was brilliant.
You tapped into that energy within once again.
Well said. Well said.
Perfect, and I think this is a good segue to the next question too. Another phrase that you have is "think outside the barrel," and I know there was a Forbes article about that you did. Can you expand on that idea?
Actually, I was being interviewed by Forbes, and I was trying to explain think outside the box in terms of the energy industry, and it suddenly came to me, think outside the barrel. And the journalist, Rebecca Pontoon, she was excellent. I could almost feel her leap up because it was such a new phrase I'd suddenly coined, you know, just out of sort of apparently nowhere.
Soundbite, Susan.
It was, you know, it was special because the reader reads it with the way they want to. Some people think of it, think outside the barrel into wind, solar, hydrogen and beyond, which is true. And think outside the barrel, i.e. don't export your barrels so quickly. What products can you utilize in the African nation? But for instance, in Belize, we take the oil into generating electricity and cooking gas, and we also are now looking at researching, taking the paraffin from the oil and creating, wait till you hear this, creating a whole line of cosmetics and spa products. And actually looking to the Belizean creativity, the local creativity, and maybe combine it with the Mayan mountain magic.
Ooh.
The aloe healing powers. The Mayans have a whole deep-seated spiritual belief. And it's so true. And when we combine that understanding with the gift from God, which is the oil and gas from Belize, and actually brine water, that's a whole other story. But put those together and mix it with the creativity of the local people. And I believe we're going to have a spa product and a cosmetic and a line of lipstick and maybe even a new Vaseline petroleum jelly equivalent for baby's bottoms.
Right, there you go. And we talked a lot about that people don't think about where all petroleum is in our world and the creative, wonderful ways it's being used, including baby's bottoms in this case. So clearly you believe in following your passion, and one of the things that Jamie also touched on is the with and for others part of that. You clearly have already touched on a lot of that, but what's another example of where you've put that to work, with and for others, with your passion?
Well, I think the program that we have ongoing in Belize is called Dare to Dream Big, and it's through our BNE Trust, which is a royalty stream right off the top, which goes into a trust, which goes for the people of Belize. And this Dare to Dream Big, over the last 6 months, has been encouraging young people to come forward with their ideas. We give them training and seed capital, and we were looking for 5 winners to focus on, and we got them about 6 weeks ago now. And it's that essence of education and tapping into the passion and that can-do attitude, which we are seeing blossoming throughout Belize. Now, when you dare to dream so big, and this is an important point, there is no room for doubt. So the bigger the dream, the less the doubt will hold you back. We dared to dream, even though there were 50 dry holes and everyone was telling us there was no one in Belize, that we could do it, Mike and I, and then of course the whole company, Belize Natural Energy, and 76 little Irish investors came with us. So they all believed in the power and the strength of belief. And that really is, that's alignment with what we would call that essence of our spirit. A can-do attitude, as we say. Another great example is the prison system. 3 key leaders in the prison system have gone along to the Aduco seminar and have totally transformed the prison structure. And in fact, they invited me to a concert, and the prisoners were expressing themselves in rap. That sort of rap. And it was so cool. And then the chief of police applied what he knew to understanding the mind and got all his cadets to take and be a big brother, take the young boys especially in the capital city under their wing, and he reduced crime by 52%.
Wow.
By utilizing what he learnt about the visionary capacity that's within all of us, and to share it. When you share it with the whole country, it's like rocket fuel. That's what Jamie was meaning.
Yes.
And you really include others in your dream, in your mission, in your vision. It is like rocket fuel propelling you out of bed on a Monday morning.
And every morning, actually.
And every morning.
Especially since this is a Saturday. Look at the energy you got on a Saturday. You talked about your love of rocks earlier. I think this might be the perfect time to introduce our friend.
This is AD, and actually from a rock point of view, it is the most beautiful serpentinite. It's a greenish tone with olivine, and olivine is a actually magical mineral and a building block of life. But this was carved by the Shona tribe in Zimbabwe. And it's over maybe 25 years ago when we went on a safari, photographic safari, to Zimbabwe, and we have now the largest collection of Shona sculptures in North America. And with them comes a spirit, which is sort of like almost it's a core spirit from the people of Africa. And I just, what did I say? I'm honoured to have Adi join us today.
We won't go into the origin of Adi's name unless you want to.
Oh, he's named after an Irish cousin of mine. I wish he was an international woman, but I think it's a boy. And of course, the Posner Center, which is run by an amazing lady here in Denver, and is about incubation of international companies. So that just happens to be stuck on by my granddaughter.
Our product placement for the day is the Posner Center. So that's our shout out. Adi also got me thinking about the last conversation we had. Let's talk about your Swiss cheese theory.
Actually, I was on a panel discussion at Harvard. This was last December. And one of the professors said, we'd love to have a phrase that was memorable. And out of me again popped, the earth is like a Swiss cheese. It's covered in holes that we have drilled for oil and gas. But we have missed a key commodity that is a part of the gift from Mother Earth, let's say, and that is the brine water. And there's groups here in Denver who are researching so brilliantly all the elements that are in that brine water. Salt, of course, is obvious. Right. Salt for the roads, the snow today, but there's cobalts, there's lithiums, there's bromine, there's all sorts of minerals. And I think we're looking at a new generation of that this brine water is actually doing maybe some of the mining for us. And we just need to open our minds, that open mind, to see how do we best maybe collect the cobalts and the lithiums and bring them into batteries to actually fuel the cell, pun intended, that goes into the batteries. And so we're not fossil versus renewable. We're actually all one in our pursuit of a better life for all, including energy.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think one of the only areas that we haven't covered yet, you touched on one of the awards that's very critical to you. Tell us about some of the other awards that you've either won personally or as part of B&E.
I think one of the ones that shocked everybody was we won the Green Award in Belize. And most oil companies wouldn't even enter for a Green Award.
Right.
But we would be known, actually globally now, for our holistic Aduco model at the core of the company. And the core of the success, not just in the company, but throughout the whole country. And so we won the Green Award, the Employer of the Year Award. We won the 2 Get Energies educational awards and the empowerment of the entire country. And then, just last week, I won the Rocky Mountain Geological Explorer of the Year Award, which it means that Belize is between the Rocky Mountains and the Andes. So we have to think plate tectonics. And I was very honoured to win the Explorer of the Year Award from the American Association of Petroleum Geologists as well. So those are recognitions to share with all the listening group that you too have that in you. I mean, I started off a wee girl from Belfast, the most unlikely person to discover oil in Belize. So I think that everybody has it in them to follow their passion. It doesn't need to be oil or gas, but follow your passion, follow what you love. And it's not like a day of work. Each day it's like being on a rainbow. And it is just opening that life's guidance, those nudges from the big boss that I say,
Right.
are with us, and we're never alone.
That's I just pictured you as a leprechaun momentarily there at the end of the rainbow. I don't know if everybody else did or not, but it was very vivid in my mind.
Okay.
Any other closing thoughts for us today?
I suppose I'd love to recognize all the women and men listening, because it takes us all, women and men, to actually go forward for a better world for all. You know, today we've got the Ukraine, the whole worrying aspect of that, and we don't want that type of thing, men or women. We want the link, the connect, the real true connect between us all to be uppermost in our minds, not go to the mindsets of greed or political power or whatever it is, but set it all down and trust that this essence of ourselves is the way forward.
That's what will prevail.
Yeah.
So before we conclude the video portion, let's explain why we're doing a video instead of our original plan on Zooming Live. You had a pretty exciting possibilities coming up for us in the next couple of weeks.
Yes, and I'm hoping that we could zoom in on the day.
Give it a try.
But the Prime Minister and the Minister of Energy, Natural Resources in Belize are all coming into B&E for a tour with a couple of other dignitaries. And they chose the exact day that we had set up next Thursday for the interview. So what I'm going to try and do, fingers crossed, is see if we can beam in to a lunch that we're giving them in Belize Natural Energy, in the company, and maybe just do a quick introduction, a sneak peek into B&E through this video of today.
I was going to say, would you repeat one more time in case people didn't catch who our special guests are going to be? I believe you said Prime Minister?
The Prime Minister actually is this very special gentleman. John Briceño is the new Prime Minister as of just the end of last year, and he was the Minister of Natural Resources who signed the first license over 20 years ago. So it's a beautiful circle. And then the Minister of Energy, I also know him. I think it's Cordell Hyde coming, and I'm sure they'll bring a couple of their CEOs. But it's the way you need to work in a PPP, they're called public-private partnership, together. The togetherness, the combined vision of not just gentlemen, because actually there's a couple of wonderful females in Belize. Shout out to the first ever head governor of the Commonwealth countries for Belize is a Mayan lady. The head of CARICOM, the whole of the Caribbean, is Carla Barnett from Belize, and Joy Grant was the Minister of Energy in the last administration. These are just a couple of them that I can think about right now.
Right.
And I hope we're going to beam into Belize as well, so that they can all, give themselves a pat on the back, because there are challenges.
Absolutely. Well, and I so look forward to giving them some recognition on this side of the ocean.
Yeah.
So, Susan, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
When I told our audience in the teaser that they would walk away ignited, I can't imagine that they will do anything but after this wonderful conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you very much. And thank you, everybody.